Now, here is the surprising part. When you hear the phrase, put this in your coffee and erections come back, it probably sounds like one of those sensational claims you see on late night ads or on clickbait posts across the internet. And to be honest, most of those are misleading. But here is the truth. There actually is a growing body of research showing that certain naturally occurring compounds, when consumed regularly, can influence blood flow, vascular health, and even erectile performance. And one of those compounds, found in something as ordinary as your morning coffee, has been shown to directly support erectile function in men, even as they move into their 70s and 80s. The key here is not about chasing magic tricks or miracle cures. Instead, it is about understanding how your body works, what science actually shows, and how simple everyday habits like what you put in your coffee can either support or sabotage your sexual health. And let me reassure you of something before we go further. Erectile dysfunction is not a sign of weakness. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is a signal, your body's way of saying something needs attention, whether that is blood flow, hormones, or lifestyle factors. Think of it less like a personal failure and more like the check engine light on your car. It is there to guide you, not to shame you. In this session, I want to walk you through what the science really says. We will explore why erections become more challenging with age, what coffee and one very specific nutrient can do for vascular health, and how these findings have been tested in large-scale studies. Along the way, we will break down some myths, clarify the role of testosterone in blood vessels, and give you simple, practical ways to support your sexual vitality. By the end of this talk, you will not just know the what to put in your coffee. You will understand the why behind it, and more importantly, how to take that knowledge and integrate it into a lifestyle that keeps your energy, your confidence, and your erections strong, even into your 70s and 80s. Because you deserve more than hype and half-truths. You deserve clarity, you deserve options, and you deserve to feel in control of your body again. And that is exactly what we are going to do together, step by step, in the next 30 minutes. Let us start with something very important. Erections are a vascular event. That means they depend primarily on blood flow. When you become sexually aroused, your brain sends signals through the spinal cord to the nerves in the penis. These signals release chemicals, the most important being nitric oxide, which relaxes the smooth muscles in the blood vessels of the penis. That relaxation allows the arteries to open, blood to rush in, and the veins to be compressed so that the blood stays trapped. The result is an erection. Now, as men move through their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, several changes naturally occur that interfere with this process. First, the lining of the blood vessels, called the endothelium, becomes less efficient at producing nitric oxide. Think of nitric oxide as the on switch for an erection. If the switch is weak, the entire system struggles. Research published in the Journal of Urology has shown that endothelial dysfunction is one of the earliest and most consistent contributors to erectile dysfunction. Second, testosterone levels gradually decline. Testosterone does more than just affect libido. It supports the sensitivity of the penile tissue to nitric oxide. Imagine trying to tune a radio. If the signal is weak and the receiver is dull, you will not hear the music clearly. That is what happens when testosterone is low. The signal from nitric oxide is there, but the tissue does not respond as strongly. Third, we must not forget circulation. Conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, and obesity, all of which become more common with age, directly damage the blood vessels. A study from the Mayo Clinic demonstrated that men with cardiovascular risk factors had a significantly higher prevalence of erectile dysfunction compared to those without. In fact, some experts call erectile dysfunction the canary in the coal mine for heart disease, meaning it often shows up years before a man is diagnosed with cardiovascular issues. And finally, nerves also play a role. Over time, diabetes or even micronerve injuries from spinal or pelvic problems can blunt the communication between the brain and the penis. Without strong nerve signals, the erection response is delayed or incomplete. Now, let me reassure you, this does not mean that declining erections are inevitable or irreversible. It simply means that the body is signaling where it needs more support. If you think of an erection like filling a balloon with water, aging does not remove the faucet. It just makes the pipe narrower, the water pressure weaker, and the valve a little stiffer. But with the right strategies, you can improve the flow, strengthen the tissue, and restore pressure. This is why we are talking about coffee, nitric oxide, and specific nutrients. Because when you address the root causes, endothelial health, vascular function, hormone support, you are not just treating a symptom, you are helping your body work the way it was designed to. So as we move forward, keep this in mind. Erectile dysfunction is not only common, but also deeply connected to your overall health. By improving the systems that create erections, you are protecting your heart, your energy, and your confidence. Now that we understand why erections become more difficult with age, let us look at something you probably never expected to be part of the solution: coffee. Coffee is the second most consumed beverage in the world after water, and for years it has been surrounded by myths. Some men worry that too much caffeine might harm the heart, raise blood pressure, or make anxiety worse. Others see coffee as nothing more than a morning pick-me-up. But research has started to show that coffee, in moderation, can play a powerful role in vascular health. And since erections are vascular events, that makes coffee surprisingly relevant. A large study published by the National Institutes of Health and the University of Texas Health Science Center looked at over 3,000 men and their coffee habits. What they found was striking. Men who drank the equivalent of 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day had a significantly lower risk of erectile dysfunction compared to men who did not drink coffee. This association remained even after adjusting for age, weight, blood pressure, and other health conditions. Why might this be happening? Caffeine itself is a mild vasodilator, which means it relaxes blood vessels and improves blood flow in the short term. But coffee is not just caffeine. It also contains hundreds of biologically active compounds, including antioxidants like chlorogenic acids, which support endothelial health. Remember, the endothelium is the thin lining of your blood vessels that produces nitric oxide, the key molecule for erections. Protecting the endothelium means protecting your ability to achieve and sustain an erection. There's also evidence that coffee improves metabolic health, reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes, which is one of the strongest predictors of erectile dysfunction. A Harvard review published in Circulation noted that regular coffee drinkers had a lower risk of diabetes, stroke, and heart disease. That matters because when you protect your circulation, you are indirectly protecting your erections. Of course, moderation is essential. More is not always better. High amounts of caffeine can raise anxiety, disturb sleep, and even trigger palpitations in sensitive individuals. The sweet spot found in research appears to be around 2 to 3 cups per day, enough to deliver the benefits without tipping into side effects. So here is a practical way to think about it. Coffee is like the soil in a garden. On its own, it creates a fertile base, it energizes, supports blood flow, and delivers antioxidants. But what you add to that coffee, what nutrients you combine it with, is like planting seeds in that soil. And one seed in particular, which we will talk about next, has been shown to transform that morning cup into something that directly supports erectile strength. Before we move on, I want to pause here and say this. If this kind of breakdown is helping you see your health differently, give this video a thumbs up. And if what I am saying resonates with your own experience, comment below. It helps open the conversation and reminds other men that they are not alone in this journey. Now that we have laid the foundation with coffee, let us talk about the real star of today's discussion, an amino acid called L-citrulline. This is the compound that can be added to your morning coffee to create a powerful boost for erectile function, even as men move into their 70s and 80s. L-citrulline is a naturally occurring amino acid found in foods like watermelon, cucumbers, and pumpkins. What makes it special is what your body does with it. Once consumed, L-citrulline is converted in the kidneys into another amino acid, L-arginine, which is then used to produce nitric oxide. Remember from earlier, nitric oxide is the chemical messenger that tells the blood vessels in the penis to relax and open up, allowing blood to flow in and create an erection. Here is the fascinating part. While you might think simply taking L-arginine supplements would be the most direct approach, research has shown that L-citrulline is often more effective. Because L-arginine, when taken orally, is rapidly broken down in the gut and liver before much of it can be used. L-citrulline, on the other hand, bypasses this breakdown, leading to higher and more sustained levels of L-arginine in the blood. It is like using a back road instead of a traffic-clogged highway. You get to your destination more reliably. Clinical evidence supports this. A study published in Urology in 2011 investigated the effects of L-citrulline supplementation in men with mild erectile dysfunction. The researchers found that participants who took L-citrulline daily reported significant improvements in erection hardness and overall satisfaction compared to those who took a placebo. While the effect was not as strong as prescription medications like sildenafil, it provided a safe, natural, and well-tolerated alternative that enhanced vascular function without major side effects. Another piece of evidence comes from sports science, where L-citrulline is often studied for its ability to improve blood flow and endurance. The same mechanism that helps athletes push oxygen into their muscles is the mechanism that helps men push blood into the penis. It is the same nitric oxide pathway, just applied in a different context. So what does this mean practically? It means that adding L-citrulline to your daily routine, and yes, even mixing it into your morning coffee, can create a steady, natural way to support erectile strength. Most studies use doses in the range of 800 milligrams to 1500 milligrams per day, though higher doses are sometimes used in sports settings. And because it is well tolerated, it is considered safe for long-term use in otherwise healthy men. Of course, if you have kidney disease or other chronic conditions, it is important to check with your doctor before starting. Think of it like this. If your coffee is the soil, then L-citrulline is the seed that grows the plant. Coffee provides the fertile ground with its antioxidants and circulation benefits. L-citrulline provides the direct raw material for nitric oxide, the molecule that powers erections. Together, they create a simple daily ritual that does far more than just wake you up. This is not about magic tricks. It is about giving your body what it needs to function the way it was designed to, by restoring the very pathway that makes erections possible. And that is something any man, even at 80, can benefit from. Up to this point, we have been focusing on erections themselves, the role of nitric oxide, coffee, and L-citrulline, but it is essential to zoom out for a moment and recognize a deeper truth. Erectile health is cardiovascular health. The two are inseparable. Let me explain. The arteries that supply blood to the penis are much smaller than the arteries that supply the heart or the brain. That means they are often the first place where vascular problems show up. In fact, erectile dysfunction can appear years before a man experiences chest pain or has a cardiac event. This is why many cardiologists now consider erectile dysfunction to be an early warning sign of cardiovascular disease. A landmark study published in the journal Circulation found that men with erectile dysfunction were at a higher risk of future heart attacks, strokes, and overall cardiovascular mortality, even after adjusting for traditional risk factors like smoking or diabetes. In other words, difficulty achieving an erection is not only about sexual performance. It is a signal that the blood vessels throughout your body may not be as healthy as they should be. So when we talk about adding L-citrulline to coffee or protecting nitric oxide, it is not just about intimacy. It is about protecting the integrity of the vascular system that keeps you alive and thriving. Think of it this way. An erection is like the body's pressure test. If blood cannot flow easily into the penis, it is a clue that those same blood vessels may be struggling elsewhere in the heart or the brain. This is also why lifestyle choices matter so much. High blood pressure stiffens arteries. Diabetes damages the delicate lining of blood vessels. Smoking directly injures endothelial cells. Excessive alcohol weakens hormonal balance. Each of these factors chips away at the foundation of erectile health by targeting the same vascular system. Now here's the empowering part. The same interventions that improve erections are the same ones that protect your heart. Aerobic exercise such as brisk walking, swimming, or cycling improves endothelial function and increases nitric oxide production. A diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and omega-3 fats lowers inflammation and strengthens vessel walls. Sleep regulates hormones and keeps testosterone at healthy levels. Stress reduction through practices like mindfulness or deep breathing helps keep cortisol under control, which indirectly protects testosterone and blood flow. And of course, daily rituals like coffee enriched with L-citrulline become part of a larger framework of vascular care. It is not just about what you put in your cup, it is about what you are doing for your entire circulatory system. So when a man says, I want my erections back, what he is really saying is, I want my circulation back, I want my vitality back. And the good news is, by focusing on vascular health, he can achieve all of those goals at once. Let me put it this way. If you only chase the symptom, you might get temporary results. But if you treat the system, you get lasting vitality, erections that are stronger, energy that is higher, and a heart that is healthier. So far, we have explored the mechanics of erections, the role of coffee, and the benefits of L-citrulline. But here is something I emphasize with every patient I see: supplements and nutrients can only do so much if your daily lifestyle habits are working against you. Think of it like planting a seed. If the soil is poor, the sunlight is blocked, and the water is scarce, the seed will never grow, no matter how good it is. Your habits are the environment in which your vascular and sexual health either flourish or decline. Let us break down the amplifiers, the daily actions that make all the difference. First, physical activity. Regular movement is perhaps the single strongest natural enhancer of erectile health. A study published in the American Journal of Cardiology found that men who engaged in regular aerobic exercise had significantly lower rates of erectile dysfunction, even if they already had cardiovascular risk factors. Why? Because exercise improves blood flow, lowers blood pressure, reduces insulin resistance, and boosts nitric oxide production. You do not need extreme routines. Even 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 days a week can be enough to improve endothelial health and sexual function. Second, sleep. Many men underestimate just how crucial sleep is for erections. Testosterone levels peak during deep sleep, especially in the early morning hours. When you cut your sleep short, you cut your testosterone production short. Research from the University of Chicago showed that men who slept less than 5 hours per night for just 1 week had a 10 to 15% drop in testosterone levels. That is a dramatic change in a very short time. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is one of the simplest yet most powerful habits for restoring both energy and sexual vitality. Third, pelvic floor strength. We often associate Kegel exercises with women, but men benefit too. The pelvic floor muscles support the penis during an erection and help with rigidity. A study in BJU International demonstrated that men with erectile dysfunction who performed pelvic floor exercises experienced significant improvements in erectile hardness and control compared to a control group. This is something you can start right away. Simple daily contractions, as if you are stopping the flow of urine, held for a few seconds, repeated in sets, can build that foundation. Fourth, nutrition beyond coffee. A diet high in processed foods, sugar, and saturated fats damages blood vessels and lowers nitric oxide availability. On the other hand, diets rich in leafy greens, berries, pomegranates, nuts, and omega-3 sources like fish or flaxseed provide the antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds your body needs to protect vascular health. These foods do not just help erections, they also lower your risk of heart attack and stroke. Fifth, stress management. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which not only suppresses testosterone, but also interferes with the relaxation of blood vessels. Men who live in constant fight or flight mode often describe weak, inconsistent erections. Simple stress management tools like deep breathing, mindfulness meditation, or even structured hobbies can lower cortisol and restore balance to the hormonal and vascular systems. Finally, alcohol and smoking. These are the silent saboteurs. Excessive alcohol depresses testosterone and damages the liver, while smoking directly injures the endothelium and accelerates arterial stiffness. If you are serious about restoring erections, reducing or eliminating these habits is not optional, it is essential. Here is the encouraging message. Every small change stacks up. When you combine daily movement, adequate sleep, pelvic floor training, and a nutrient-rich diet with the simple ritual of coffee plus L-citrulline, you are building a strong foundation for erectile and overall health. It is not about perfection. It is about consistent choices that add up over weeks, months, and years. And remember, your erections are not just a measure of sexual function. They are a reflection of your vitality, your cardiovascular health, and your resilience. By strengthening the habits that support them, you are investing in every part of your life. We have covered a lot of ground so far: the biology of erections, the surprising benefits of coffee, the science of L-citrulline, the vascular connection, and the daily habits that amplify everything. Now let us bring this all together into something simple, practical, and sustainable that you can actually apply to your life starting tomorrow morning. The first piece is your morning ritual. Most men already drink coffee, which makes it the perfect anchor habit. By adding a measured dose of L-citrulline, often in the range of 800 milligrams to 1500 milligrams, to your cup, you create a daily infusion of support for nitric oxide production. Think of this as fueling the engine before you start the day. Over time, this consistency builds up vascular resilience, making erections more reliable. The second piece is movement. Pairing your coffee ritual with some form of light exercise can amplify the effect. For example, after finishing your coffee, go for a brisk 20-minute walk, do a short bodyweight routine, or practice a set of pelvic floor exercises. This combination of improved nitric oxide availability plus increased circulation is like priming both the soil and the water for your health garden. The third piece is nutrition. Throughout the day, focus on meals that are rich in whole, plant-based foods, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Something as simple as adding leafy greens to lunch, choosing salmon or walnuts for dinner, or snacking on berries instead of processed sweets directly feeds your endothelium. When your blood vessels are nourished, your erections naturally benefit. The fourth piece is recovery. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep, create a consistent bedtime routine, limit screens before bed, and treat your sleep as seriously as your work. Remember, testosterone and repair processes peak during deep sleep. Without it, all the other steps lose their full potential. The fifth piece is stress regulation. Here's a simple tip I give to patients: when you feel overwhelmed, pause and take 3 slow, deep breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. It sounds small, but this resets your nervous system and lowers cortisol in real time. Over weeks and months, practices like this protect your hormonal balance and circulation. And finally, the sixth piece is monitoring your progress. Erectile health is not a yes or no condition. It exists on a spectrum, and noticing small improvements, stronger morning erections, better stamina, improved confidence can keep you motivated. If you track your journey, you will see how consistent daily actions pay off. And if your symptoms do not improve, that is also important information, because it tells you it may be time to see a physician for deeper evaluation of cardiovascular or hormonal health. The beauty of this routine is that it does not feel like treatment. It feels like living well. You are drinking your morning coffee, you are moving your body, you are eating foods you enjoy, and you are resting more deeply. These are not extreme interventions. They are sustainable choices that, when added together, create a long-term transformation in both your erections and your overall vitality. So instead of chasing quick fixes or miracle pills, think of this as a lifestyle prescription. Coffee plus L-citrulline, daily movement, nourishing food, restorative sleep, stress balance, and mindful awareness of your body's signals. That is the recipe for strength and confidence, not just in the bedroom, but in every part of life. We began today with a simple but surprising idea that what you put in your morning coffee could make a meaningful difference in your erections even at the age of 70 or 80. And as we walked through the science, you saw how this is not about hype or gimmicks. It is about biology, vascular health, and simple daily actions. We started by breaking down why erections become more difficult with age, reduced nitric oxide production, lower testosterone responsiveness, damaged blood vessels, and weaker nerve signaling. We then looked at coffee, not just as a source of caffeine, but as a beverage rich in antioxidants and vascular supporting compounds that reduce the risk of erectile dysfunction. From there, we introduced L-citrulline, the amino acid that your body converts into nitric oxide, the very signal that triggers erections. We saw the clinical research showing its ability to improve erection hardness and satisfaction safely and naturally. Then we zoomed out and reminded ourselves of the bigger picture. Erectile health is vascular health. Your penis is often the first place circulation problems show up, and by supporting erections, you are protecting your heart, your brain, and your overall vitality.